Hello, welcome. My name is Philip, and hopefully you know me from the last episode, where I put a brief overview over this little precious. Um, I saw Lord of the Rings extended version, all three, yesterday. I'm a little damaged, so to say. But yeah, it's a new day. It's a new day. It is a new day. Yeah, it is. Ah, and today I'm gonna show you how to set this thing up, which is very messy. And yeah, I don't blame you if you don't follow because I barely follow myself here. But it has to be sometimes like that. You just have to, keep on struggling with issues that came up in front of you. You just have to solve it, right? Just have to do it. And that's how it is. So before we jump into the computer, I just want to speak a little about MIDI controllers, and especially this MIDI controller, since I'm working with this MIDI controller, everything that I'm setting up will be will be, how to say it, it will be set up for a controller like this, but that doesn't mean you can't set it up on other controllers. But this layout is probably something that will be not necessary, but easier if you got it. But there's a lot of different brands and a lot of different amounts, so you will probably find something you like. But what I have to say is that I have colors, so it's easier for me to categorize everything that I'm gonna map later. Um, and that was everything I was about to say. Also, that you sometimes need to set up your MIDI controller to work with different MIDI CC numbers and different MIDI channels. And but there's a lot of other videos that goes through this and that can show you how to do this. And especially if you're not using Ableton, you will have to probably find out for yourself how to MIDI map inside your DAW. Um, Even though I will try to help you if you ask me in the comments below. I'm no master at any DAW, but the one I know the most is Ableton. So yeah, but I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna try at least. The other thing is that if you are lucky enough to have a controller like this, I have actually already set this up with the colors and the MIDI CC numbers, and you only have to download my preset and load up, what is it called, Novation software, and just insert my preset to your hardware. So it got the colors like this, and all the MIDI CC numbers are the same way as I have them. You don't need to have it like that, but it's just easier if you actually got one of these. That would be cool. Then you show me. Yeah, I think that's everything. Um, I will see you at my computer where I start to set everything up, and welcome to my computer and welcome to Ableton. So I'm gonna quickly show you how to set this up, or as quick as possible, and I'm going to skip everything that doesn't have with this setup at all. So I'm just going through everything as fast as possible. So we can start by opening MIDI Madness. And here we got this beauty. And yeah, it's fairly simple. They got a lot of controls, and you can really dig deep inside this plugin. You can load your VSTs inside of MIDI Madness, and you can do some macro stuff and stuff like that. I'm not gonna go into that right now, maybe later. Right now I'm just gonna show you all my bindings that I had on my controller. So to bind in to MIDI map inside of Ableton, you first have to configure. So to configure MIDI Madness, you have to press that arrow on the plugin, and you can see all these text here is options, is knobs inside of MIDI Madness. But I'm gonna delete them all because I don't need all of them. And I'm going to add instead. So I make sure I'm in configure mode, and we can see to add parameters to this panel, click on them. in the plugin window. So I just have to press everything inside MIDI Madness that I need to MIDI map later. So we have the swing up here, easy peasy. We got the mode here, freestyle, if you remember, you know, where it's just flowing. We got, and as you can see, they're coming up here when I'm pressing them. We got the generate button here to generate a new loop. And we have the notes. I'm going to use C major now. You can use all the notes, you can use one note. It's up to you. It depends on how many options you want to have. If you're just working in one scale, use the keys in that scale. If you're working with a lot of scales, use all the keys. Then we have the octave, and I'm using octave 1, 2, 3, and 4. Polyphonic. Here you can see we have 16 notes playing at the same time. It's crazy. I'm gonna go for 1, 2, and 3, and the length. And if you hover over them for some seconds, you can see what they are. If you don't know this language, which I don't, so 16, 8 notes, quarter. What is this? Half note, whole note. And this little bracket here, that's a rest. And that's the pause and how much silence you want in your loop. And here, these two are the note length. The one that didn't work exactly as I wanted. I called them dead buttons last episode. And yeah, I'm gonna set them up anyways because I want to learn what they're doing. So I'm touching them also. I can say this, that here you have the loop length, so you can decide how long the loop's gonna be. You can of course assign this to a MIDI knob also. It's totally up to you. Now we're done. Now we can exit MIDI Madness, we can exit the configure, and we can start working on our Omnisphere. So I have a probably not the best setup, but it is a setup and it's working for me. So what I do to set up Omnisphere is to first of all search for it, and before I load it, I actually load an instrument rack because I need to have 8 different instances of Omnisphere. So I'm gonna load all my Omnisphere inside of this instrument rack. Perfect. So here I can pick a preset, whatever I want to. I can close this one down and I can press here. So here I got all my instances of Omnisphere. So let's say I want to add one more. First I rename this to Omnisphere 1. I just duplicate this one. And I can rename this to Omnisphere 2. Right, perfect. And now, if I open this one, and you see we have Phoenix Rising on this one. Here I can take something else, like Creaking Bones. You see, I got 2 instances of Omnisphere inside this instrument rack. That's perfect. So I can essentially add how many Omnisphere or different VSTs that I want. I can, for example, add something else, another VST to this if I want to. But I'm not gonna. I'm gonna add 4 different instances, so I can make 2 groups, and yeah, 4 Omnispheres. And once that's done, we have set up Omnisphere for, you know, starting to MIDI map that also. But we have one more thing to do. Since all Omnisphere patches are inside an instrument rack, I don't know how they can receive MIDI from MIDI Madness. Well, I do. Let's see here. First of all, I turn them all down in volume, which you can do here. And I take MIDI from MIDI Madness. I have to choose it here also. And I can start to raise the volume. Oh, We don't hear anything. Why? Well, I tried to press monitor. And now you can see it started to receive MIDI. So I have to have monitor on, apparently. Obviously, sorry. So... well, that was beautiful. So I already got some really nice music stuff right here. But do you remember? I had 2 different MIDI Madness, or 1 MIDI Madness for each group. So how do I separate these? Because Omnisphere 3 and 4 is their own group. So first of all, I'm gonna rename this MIDI Madness to Mad 1. And then I'm gonna duplicate it and call this one Mad 2. And inside the instrument rack, instead of getting MIDI from, because I can only choose one, right? Mad 1 or Mad 2. I can't choose both or separate them. And if you have any answer to this and know how to send MIDI Madness 2 to Omnisphere 3 and 4 straight through between them, tell me, hook me up. But my workaround around this is to create a MIDI track. I put it in between my Omnispheres. I don't know if that's a word. And I call this Mad 1 Send. So since this is a MIDI track, I can now decide where to send the MIDI. So I take the MIDI from Mad 1. And I also have to pick it ready. And I can now send the MIDI to Omnispheres. And here I got all my instances. And since I named them, you can see here's Omnisphere 1, Omnisphere 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, Omnisphere 2. So these are only different outputs on that Omnisphere. So what I do is to select Omnisphere 1, and I duplicate this one. Send 1, send 2. And on this, I get the MIDI from the same MIDI Madness, Mad 1, but I send it to Omnisphere also, but instead of Omnisphere 1, I send it to Omnisphere 2. Boom. And I will now remove the Omnisphere group here. I will remove so it doesn't receive any MIDI, because it will receive MIDI from these sends. So I take all in, and you can see it stopped. But it doesn't receive any MIDI, right? And that is because we haven't monitored this one. So if I press in here, let's see, have I missed anything? So much all the time to think about, right? No. And we don't hear anything from this one, so we know it's working. We can't see it receive from this. I don't know how it receives it, but it receives it somehow because I'm sending it to it. So now we need to set up Omnisphere 3 and 4, so they also receive MIDI, but from MIDI Madness 2. So now it's time for Mad 2 to shine. So I'm gonna lower the volume so we don't explode our ears. Mad 1, send 2, duplicate. I call this Mad 2, send 1. And this one gets MIDI from Mad 2 instead of Mad 1. And I send it to the Omnispheres, and I send it to Omnisphere 3. And it's the same one for Mad 2, send 2. You guessed it. And we have Mad 2 here. And we're going to send this one to Omnisphere 4. And I'm picking number 1 because the sound, I have that on number 1. So Now we should get sound on each and every one of them. And we do, we have the same patch on these last 3 ones because I duplicated them, but we got sound from them, so it's working. Perfect. So this is how I have it set up. So we can color them to make it a little easier to separate them a little. Oh, what's good? Oh, purple. Nice. So this is how I set it up, and then I just group it, you know. I group all this, and I call this MIDI. And we have our pretty nice setup now, right? Still working. So that's everything for now, because now we need to move on to the next part, and that is to map everything to our controller. So I'll see you back at my controller. Boom. I'm back at my controller. So how do we start MIDI mapping? It's very easy. I just have to press MIDI inside my DAW or inside Ableton, because I'm using Ableton, and there we will see everything turn blue. You will see now. And inside this mode you have the power of assigning everything that is blue to a button on your controller. So we start by opening MIDI Madness and start to assign everything. So now I have selected my first MIDI Madness and I'm ready to set it up. And I just go through every setting on MIDI Madness and turn the button or the fader or the knob that I wanted to assign to. So we can start with the swing, and then I will just fast forward, and you will just have to go through everything like the way you want it to be set up. So I press swing and I turn the swing knob, and as you can see, we get a notification that CC31 is controlling MAD1, MIDI Madness 3, and the swing amount. And that's exactly what we want. So I'm just gonna keep going, and yeah, we're going from right to left and just taking us all the way down. So here we have the polyphonic. And then comes the octaves. And then we have the note length, right? Or no, not the length, the position or how it plays. So here I probably picked one setting inside MIDI Madness too much. Maybe the 32 one or something like that. So, because I think that's called, what is it called? DME semi-quarters. I think so. So I'm gonna remove all my mapping. And how to remove something is just to press that in the list and delete it. And to find it in the list is very easy to just press the blue box that you MIDI mapped and then press delete. And now I'm starting on the whole note instead. The notes down here. And then we have probably the two most important buttons of them all. It's group 1, generate 1, and it's group 1, freestyle 1. Since we are in MIDI Madness 1, group 1, so to say. So we can start with this generate, just press. Boom. And this one is a little more trickier, the freestyle one. Because if I assign the freestyle one now, it's called loop mode, and I exit MIDI mapping to try out my new key bindings. And I can, for example, first press generate, and we can see that it turns it all the way to the right, and it says 1.0 instead of 0. And that now we know it has generated a new stuff. But if I press this freestyle one, we can see it turns it from loop mode to off. And that's not what we want. So what's happening here? Well, if I slide the slider in my computer, you see we have 4 options, and that's the thing. When I'm pressing a button, I'm telling the MIDI signal to go from 0 to 127, all the way to the right, from left to right, from 0 to 100%. But our option that we want, which is the freestyle one, it's around 25% to 50%. So now I have to tell this the computer, when I press this button, don't go all the way, don't go 100%, just go, let's say, 30%. And I can do that inside the MIDI settings. So I just have to press the button. And assign that to a number that makes it not move so far. So let's try again. Perfect. We found the position where it's not going too far, it's just going to freestyle. So, what you have to do now, as you can imagine, is to go into the next MIDI Madness group and set up the same with the same knobs in the same positions. And then you're pretty much ready to go with the MIDI Madness stuff, and just keep adding more and more MIDI Madness and map them to the same button, the same settings, and you control, or at least the rules you can assign to the same knobs. The generate stuff you need to separate. It makes sense, right? So I'm gonna go through this pretty quickly. But this time I have to make sure that I'm changing my loop mode and my generate button to group number 2, since this is MIDI Madness number 2. So for this loop mode, I press the second one here. And same for the generate, the second one here. Now I just go. So the same story here. I need to change the value of my freestyle knob, and I can easily sort inside Ableton at least the MIDI assignments to name or number or everything. So I will assign them to you'll see. And now I try to press group number 2, and it's going into freestyle. So that's exactly what we want, right? So now we have set up everything with MIDI Madness, hopefully. it's time for us to set up Omnisphere, I think, and that's a little more quicker and a little more easier, and that feels nice to have the tough part behind us. So I can turn down the MIDI map and open Omnisphere. And the volume faders isn't the global one, or isn't the group one. It's in the instrument rack. You can see we have all these small volume faders, and I'm going to assign them to a fader on my controller. And I like to be able to turn my plugins on and off, as I told you, so I'm going to assign these 4 buttons to that also. Perfect, so now they are all off, and I can turn them on and off. So the last button, I think, is to be able to change preset, right? So for that we need to open Omnisphere, because some plugins you have the opportunity to assign MIDI inside that plugin, and Omnisphere is one of them. I know there is a lot of other plugins that have that function. Some of them you're able to switch presets with MIDI mapping. Sometimes you need to maybe have multiple instances of a plugin with different presets, and when you press button you turn them on and off, or using like an instrument rack and doing. There are other ways, but the point is, if your VST can't change preset with a button, find a VST that can. If you want that function, or make your own sounds and just toggle them between these. It's totally up to you. So I'm gonna open Omnisphere, and I start with Omnisphere 1. And what I know, or what I have to do, I don't know if there is a workaround. If there is, help me. But I have to make sure that the plugin is on, of course. And then I also have to arm the track for it to receive MIDI. So I'm arming my Omnisphere's track. And I now should be able to right click on the preset selector and assign a MIDI, and then press the button. Let's see. And as you can see, now when I press this button, I can change preset. So I will do this for all 4. Great. Now I think we have set up everything. Not really. We forgot this knob, but this one is a little special, and I'm going to make a dedicated episode to that one actually. Or actually not. I'm just kidding. It's not special at all. I'm gonna show you how to do it. It's pretty easy. Inside Ableton, I have something called randomization stuff that just randomize MIDI and put out another MIDI note. So yeah, let me show you where I put that and how it works. So, yeah, you have to open the MIDI stuff we set up, and each MIDI send, which is MIDI Mad 1, send 1, is sending to this channel, has its own MIDI send, right? So what I did was to make this button just work on the first track on each group, but you can do it whatever you want. So if I want to do that, I have to set up this randomization thing on Mad 1, Send 1, and Mad 2, Send 1. So I'm gonna do that right now. So now we can listen to it. And to assign it, just press MIDI mapping and turn this button. I will repeat the process, but for Mad 2, Send 1. So as you can see, both these chance knobs, or the amount knobs, have the same CC number, CC 111. So this knob will now turn 2 knobs inside Ableton, and that's what I want, right? So I can exit MIDI mapping, and we're completely done inside the computer. Of course, if I forgot anything, I will put it back, but let's try and see if it works. Cool. Let's make something a little prettier with it. Well, I had to say that wasn't the prettiest things I have heard, but it was some things, and it seems to work. I hope it's kind of messy, everything. I hope you catch something, and that something may have helped you on setting up your own MIDI map. Um yeah, it's a lot of options and a lot of things that can go wrong, and that's usually how it goes. You could see me a lot of times now, being like, what just happened? Oh, I don't know. But that's also a part of it, that's the fun thing with it, to solve problems, to face a problem and then solve it. And that feels almost better than making dope music, is to solve everything behind it. um, yeah, I'm gonna leave it there, and we're gonna have probably so much fun with all of this, and I'm gonna keep